You are listening to CrossTalk, a safe place to discuss addiction, recovery, harm reduction, and everything in between. Support for this podcast comes from the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort and Advocates of Recovery. Content and production by the team at Turning Point Recovery Community Center. Now, buckle up and get ready for the show.
Welcome everyone to CrossTalk Recovery, the recovery podcast that supports all forms of recovery. I'm Matt Lewis and I'm here with
Lucas Lewis.
Welcome, Lucas. Lucas is my son, and I've been thinking and wanting to do this for a while now, because as most people know, if you've ever heard my story, and I can't remember if I talked about this in the recent podcast where I told my story, but I was raised very sheltered, and my parents were, I know they were trying to protect me, but when I didn't like being sheltered as a kid. So when I got older and had Lucas, I decided I was going to raise him the polar opposite of that. And I didn't shelter him from anything, which I believe and know now there should be a happy medium to that, right? Like, I don't think completely sheltering someone from the world is good, but I also think kids shouldn't be exposed to everything like the things that I exposed you to, which was, well, we're going to talk about that, but I know that I wasn't hiding the fact that I did drugs. I wasn't hiding the fact that I drank. I wasn't hiding the women. You saw me sick. You saw me get in and out of jail. You saw me broke, right?
Yeah.
So, and surprisingly, you turned out great.
Yes.
We're in your home that you bought. I've never owned a home, and you own this home.
Yeah, I do. Just, hard work and all that stuff,
Hard work.
Hard work.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, I raised you right. But I want to do this because I think, well, I'll put it this way. I think we have a great relationship, and I know that I've always loved you, and I've always been there, tried to be there, even except for when if I didn't have a car, your mom wouldn't bring you to me. If I had lost my license, so I had to try to find rides to come pick you up on the weekends. Or if I was in jail, I couldn't obviously pick you up,
Yeah.
I paid my child support. That was one thing I did. But even when I did get you, it wasn't always probably the best environment for you. I don't know what you remember, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this, just get the child's perspective. I'll say this: I know that people have done a lot worse things than I've done to you, but I still was a terrible example, and I'm sure I put you through more than I even realized. I remember one time, because I used to take you to the bar.
Yeah.
The Monkey Wrench.
Yeah.
Right? Every Sunday we'd go to the bar, watch football. Everybody in the bar knew you. They loved you. What was it that you had?
The what?
Awesome beer?
Awesome beer, yeah.
Wasn't
it just like a Shirley Temple?
Yeah,
version?
It was like Sprite and grenadine.
Yeah.
But he had his awesome beer sitting at the bar. I mean, it's funny and sad. But there was one time particularly that I remember I always tried to not get too drunk because I was, a dad. But one time I got drunk and passed out on the stage, and your mom had to come pick you up while I was like inebriated.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't happy.
No, not at all.
There were other times like that, but basically I want to hear what it was like from your perspective, and I don't want you to sugarcoat it. I want you to be as honest as you can about either specific things you remember that good or bad, and what it was like, what your thought process was like as seeing that, and what it was like. How did that encourage you to not be like me, or encourage you to be a hard worker and be the person you are today? What was like? I just want your perspective on it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I feel like in a certain way, since it's like always growing up and that was around, I kind of just thought it was normal in a sense, you know, like, oh, he's just drinking, or oh, he's just doing this and that, or, you know, I never understood to a degree of how bad it was, you know, like, oh, probably, I knew in a way you shouldn't be doing this all the time, but I never like saw you doing it and was like, oh, he's an alcoholic, oh, he does drugs. I never saw it like that. Like it was,
because that was all you knew.
Yeah, because every time I saw you, it was not every time I saw you, but you were having a drink or something. Yeah. So I was like, oh, he's just having a drink. It's not like I was like, I would go home and be like, oh my God, he just always drinks. I never thought like that.
Well, I wasn't like abusive to you, right?
No,
I wasn't verbally abusive. I wasn't physically. I wasn't that kind of alcoholic dad.
He was not beating me or anything.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that. It just always like a fun, jokey time, you know? We always hung out and did fun stuff, and, you know, like we'd go to the movies. That was like our big thing, really, is going to the movies or going to the park or just hanging out, you know?
Yeah, I played video games with you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it wasn't like I had you on the weekend, so it wasn't too hard most of the time to hold it together while you were there.
Yeah.
But I wasn't setting a good example. I was more of the fun time dad.
Yeah.
Because I know how strict your mother is, and she has her reasons for it, you know, but I was just trying to like have a good time with you, you know, and I know I had a lot of guilt once I got sober about the way I raised you, you know, resentments against myself for not being a better example, because I had resentments against my own father for not being the dad that I thought he should be. My dad was a pastor, and I wanted him to be the dad that took me, you know, hunting and fishing and taught me how to work on a car or how to build a house. For some reason, as a kid, that's what I thought and wanted my dad to be. And my dad was, you know, he was pastoring churches. He was writing sermons. He was, you know, and I resented him for that when I was young. Now, I mean, I love my dad. I respect him for, you know, I know that he was doing what he believed God wanted him to do, and he had a good heart, and he's a great man, and I look up to him now, but I resented him when I was a kid, and I just didn't know if you had those resentments to me, because I resented myself for the way I raised you, because especially having those resentments against my dad for not being who I wanted him to be, and then I was the person I was to you, who I'm sure you probably wanted a different dad or a better dad or a rich dad, or, you know what I mean? Like, everybody wants something different as a kid than what they have usually.
I feel like I'm not very resentful person. Like, I just, obviously looking at like being like an adult now, and I do feel like in ways that I'm like, okay, maybe I did wish that I got taught how to work on cars, or more like, I guess, manly things, you know, like,
Yeah.
You know, just like basic,
stuff that comes in handy as being an adult male. And
yeah, like
it would be
tools.
nice to be able to fix your car instead of paying for it, or
like
you know,
tools or cars or building stuff or just anything, you know. I mean, and I had my stepdad too, Nick. I mean, he helped a lot too, but there's still things that he didn't get to do, like fatherly. So it's like, I do feel like in a way I always wish I had more of like you're my father, but sometimes I wish I had like a father, you know what I mean? Because you were like fun and stuff, but
I was friendly,
yeah.
friend dad. Yeah, like, that's the thing. I know that I was present in your life for better or worse, and I knew that I loved you, and I wanted you to have fun and know things about the world, but I didn't have those skills imparted to me. Like what I did learn about being a quote unquote manly man was from my grandfather and other friends and their dads, but I enjoyed figuring things out for myself eventually. Like, I still to this day will try to fix a car on my own or try to build the thing that needs built it's a trial and error learning process.
Yeah.
Because that's just never something that I've spent a lot of time doing. But I'm glad that we had the relationship that we had. I wish I could have been a better, more present father, but I didn't even really know who I was. Like, that's what I found out when I was sober, is I was trying to be when I got sober, all through my addiction and the madness, I was trying to be somebody I thought I was supposed to be to please other people around me. And I was not I didn't even know who I really was. Like, I was running from myself. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I was filled with fear and anxiety over a lot of things and masking that with drugs and alcohol. Masking it pretty well for a long time because I got away with it got away with it's a bad expression, but because I was still going to jail constantly. But you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, I made it, I lasted, I made it work. Like I said, I still was paying child support and things like that. So, I don't know, like, you don't have any, like, specific stories that you're like this, because I remember another story, and I don't know if you remember these things. You remember St. Patty's Day, where we went to Louisville. We're in Louisville right now. This is where you live. But Louisville has a huge St. Patty's Day parade and everything, and we went to a bar. They had, like, an outside tent set up, and I got real drunk, and we came back to the apartment, and I was, like, falling down, couldn't find the keys to get in the door. It was like the girlfriend I was with at the time was, like, basically taking care of you and me. And I don't know how, you were like 2 or 3 at that point.
Yeah, I don't remember this one now.
Yeah. So I guess that's in some ways a blessing that you were young and don't remember some of this stuff. But are there things that you do remember?
Like, just like anything. There's not really any. It's like I was saying. It's like at the time, like, I never saw it as, like, it's weird. I mean, like you said, growing up around it and seeing it, that's what it is, But I mean, I feel like I remember a lot, like just going to the Monkey Wrench on Sundays or just going out to places. And I mean, it's like, I don't know how to word it. It's just like, I've never saw it as like this, like, I've never had like a.
Well, everybody liked you. All my friends, even though they were like a mess as well, you were just like one of the guys.
Yeah.
They'd talk smack to you and you would talk smack right back to them. Yeah, I mean, maybe I was a great father after all.
It's just like, obviously there's moments where I'm sure you look back and you're like, and I mean, you're like,
well, I look like it. If I get what you're saying. You that's all you ever knew. And just like me growing up sheltered, that's all I ever knew. And that's why once I learned about so many things, I realized that I understood why they wanted to shelter me, but especially how the path that I ended up taking once I was on my own. But, you didn't turn out anything like me. So there had to be a point, right, where you made a decision that I'm not going to do the things that he did. like, you drink every now and then, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Socially, but
yeah.
you don't have that thing that I have, and you don't do drugs, so, which is one of the things that I did a lot of.
Yeah.
So what do you think it was that caused you to not be like me? Like, because there had to be something negative about me if you thought this is how it was, this is just how it is because this is all you knew. Then what was the thing that said, well, I don't want to be like this?
I feel like just how hectic it was, like, just like always, like, let's say there's a weekend, you're like, I don't know. I feel like the majority of not doing that of not becoming that kind of person was, I feel like definitely my mom played a big role in that, because she was always like, kind of like scared me about it, like, don't drink, don't do drugs. And it was like, you're like, okay, I won't drink and I won't do drugs. Because, I mean...
Well, she is scary.
Yes. She is a scary woman.
But no.
But, I mean, there's no... I mean, yeah,
so it wasn't... So maybe... okay, so it wasn't necessarily something that I did. Because I guess I always just assumed that because you turned out so good, and I was not good, that you just didn't want to be anything like me. And then I ended up becoming grateful for that. But maybe it was the hard work and fear that your mother placed in you that, like, steered you away from that more so than... Because it wasn't like I was encouraging you to drink and do drugs.
You did it and it happened around me sometimes. So, but It's not like you were like, okay, you need to start drinking. You need to start doing drugs. It wasn't like that. But obviously seeing that go on, I don't know. I just never felt like the need to, okay, I want to drink or I want to do drugs. I've just never had that, like.
So we didn't, like, you tell that you probably thought that we thought we were having fun, but you just saw that we were accomplishing nothing.
Yeah, like you always moving into different places. You were always like just getting different like jobs and doing just a bunch of stuff that was never felt like a stable lifestyle. Like there's
yeah, absolutely.
So it's like in my head I was like, I mean I kind of want like a stable, secure kind of like lifestyle, and what you and all the people you were hanging out with were doing was not getting you that. So, I mean, I felt like that probably played a big part too. Like, okay, maybe let's not do that, and maybe I could get what they're not getting, you know?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense and just the fact that you had the wherewithal to be able to flush that out, you know, as a young person, like, you know, in high school, that's where it started for me. And if you were already, I wasn't around it like you were,
yeah,
you know, so I know how that can easily be distracted. Also, it depends on who you're hanging out with and, you know, what they're like. But I'm grateful today, for the fact that you saw that and made those choices and became the person that you are today, a hardworking, got a job that you don't necessarily like right now, but it's a good paying job and it's afforded you to get this house, and you know you got a stable relationship, and you know you go to the gym, you take care of yourself, like all things that I had to like go through a whole life of insanity and learn every lesson the hard way to get to the point now where I'm almost 50 and I've got a little stability in my life.
I definitely felt like, seeing your life and just like all the consequences of your actions, it definitely taught me like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do these things so I don't gets
That's the thing that I could never do, right? Like a smart man, the saying goes, a smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes.
yeah.
So you had wisdom beyond your years to see this chaos, this madness isn't for me. This doesn't get you anywhere. Like, these guys' lives are a mess. Like, for a long time, I lived in houses with a bunch of other dudes who were all just partiers.
Yeah.
And then you'd come over, you know, and you're one of the boys. But yeah, I can't imagine. Like, I would have liked that as a kid based on what I thought I would have liked. Like, you know, when I was a teenager, I would have been cool to have partying all around me when I was a kid. But now I know, if, like, from your perspective, that's not at all what a kid wants to be around. You know, their head's not thinking like that. They want to be loved by the people who are supposed to love them and treated with respect and taught things, you know, that are of value. And I'm grateful for your mother being that strict force in your life when I was unable to or unwilling to or whatever it was.
And since I lived with her too, so she definitely, I feel like definitely had more of an influence. Like, imagine if she wasn't like a strict kind of like put her foot down parent, then who knows how it would have turned out.
Right. Or if you had to deal with that when you were at her house as well as my house.
Yeah.
You know? And you were just constantly surrounded by this chaos.
Yeah.
Then you would have, you know, it would have been a lot harder to make those smart choices. But yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad she was there for you to do that. Yeah, for sure. We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, did you know it's illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland because they get lonely? Here at Turning Point, we don't want you to ever be lonely either. That's why we're open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Always feel free to come hang with our friendly staff, and don't forget your guinea pig. We're located at 415 Broadway Street, downtown Paducah.
Hello, everybody. You want to know something? My biggest issue with meetings is, despite their name, they are never about me. Here at Turning Point, all of our meetings are for you and about you. We have meetings at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week. We are located at 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky. Call 270-444-3621 for more information.
And what you said about, like, you're always living with your friends and stuff, like, there were moments where we would go do something, and friends would be invited, and all your friends would be there. And there's a lot of times where I was always thinking, like, I wish it could just be me and you know, like, but, I mean, you know.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was selfish, and I lost a lot of relationships due to prioritizing my friends over people. Your mother was one of those. One of the things we argued about. But I didn't have a lot of friends growing up because we moved around so much. And so once I got a set of people I considered friends, I valued them and I prioritized them put them above people I shouldn't have. I know that today. But that's the kind of stuff I'm trying to get from you. It's like these things that maybe affected you that I don't know about. And I know there's not much I can do about it now other than be made aware of it, and so that I can, and hopefully that's why I wanted to do this podcast with you, because hopefully somebody listening will see how their actions don't just affect them, you know, because that's the lie that we tell ourselves, right? I'm only hurting myself, but I was hurting you. I was hurting lots of people around me. The ripple effects of your actions in the madness or when you're being a good person, the ripple effects are real. so you can either put positive or negative ripple effects into the world, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to, like, I've put a lot of negative. I'll never be able to make up for all of them, but I'm trying to put positive, and then knowing some of the negative helps me to know where I can focus on putting positive, or where other people can hopefully catch themselves from creating more negative, right? What else you got?
I feel like, because I feel like being young, like in school, and like because of everything, you know, just like growing up how I did, I just feel like it was kind of hard for me to, like, at some point, like in high school especially, like, I don't know what it was, but just like getting into a relationship, like, with a woman. I don't know, because you were always in and out of them, and I just always felt like I never really had anyone to talk to about it, like explain those feelings, you know, to anybody.
Yeah.
So I feel like for a long time that kind of had an effect.
Well, yeah,
on
I
that.
definitely wasn't setting a great example. Like, after me and your mom got divorced, I just kind of threw myself into the madness, and my alcoholism and my drug use just progressively got worse and worse over the years. And I built that wall up around me, not wanting to get hurt again or let anybody in that close. So relationships, and of course I was a mess as far as my, you know, like my using anyway, but both those things affected my relationships and never letting anybody in, and they didn't last long, so they came and went. And there were definitely some women that I cared about in that process, but like I was in no shape. Like I said, I didn't even know who I was, right? And some of them were struggling with their own problems. So, yeah, I'm sure I probably tried to give you advice, but giving you advice on that at that time was probably the worst advice I could have given anybody, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember any advice I ever gave you on anything that was like ridiculous?
No, not really. I mean, obviously nothing that really stuck with me, you know, anyways. Like, you might have said something, but it wasn't something that I was like...
You didn't pay attention to me most of the time. It's like, oh, there he goes rambling again about something.
No, I don't know. I just to me, just it felt like nothing like that stick advice-wise on anything really like that in that subject.
Yeah. Was there anything that ever stuck?
Like advice? Just...
Or, yeah. Did I ever say anything to you that you like that you always remember that wasn't just a silly joke that we still joke about, you know?
I mean, there was like things here and there. I feel like, you know, just dad stuff. Like, I know you obviously think like you have your moments and stuff, but like you still had your moments of you were a pretty good dad, you know, like if like I scraped my knee or something, you were like, you just gotta get back up and keep moving and fight through the pain, stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, yeah.
I mean, I tried. I'm sure there was like my heart was. I loved you, like you're my only son. I'll always love you. I wanted to be. I didn't know what I was doing, you know. Like I said, I wasn't sure who I was, and I had no like. I wasn't turning to advice from anybody else. My relationship with my dad was estranged at that point, and not by anything he did, but just from we were living in Louisville, which was 4 hours away from him, and I wasn't being completely honest with him about who I was because I didn't want to hear what he would tell me.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really turn to him for advice on things, and I didn't. So I didn't, and it was just me trying to figure it out and be whatever version of a dad I thought I could be. And blessed that your mother was there to be the real strict parental figure in your life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm grateful that we had a lot of those good times, and that you don't have any real terrible scars that you can remember from it.
Not like, I mean, obviously there's, like I was saying, like things with that I wish you would have, like a father would teach their son, but no, there's no really like, I mean, just thinking back on it, like as a kid, like you're always growing up and everyone's around you's having fun, and they're like, everyone's like, you're the coolest kid ever, like doing stuff like that. I'm like, as a kid you're kind of like, oh, this is cool. But that's not the way to live, you know?
Yeah.
But just like, there's like, you'd be having a party or something and y'all would have your shots, but then everyone would get me a shot glass and they fill it with chocolate milk. And
Yeah.
we all dink and then chocolate milk. And it's like, I don't know. It was fun growing up as a kid like that. And I'm sure there's like just moments of,
Well, the thing is, the dangers of that is that it could have gone horribly wrong.
yeah,
right?
I could have grown up.
You could have actually been taking the shots.
Yeah.
And we would have laughed about it, you know, because we weren't in the right mind to like really stop you.
Yeah.
You were the one who usually was like we weren't preventing you. We weren't trying to force you to drink, but we weren't really in the state to prevent you to if you were trying to. You
Yeah.
know, you could have easily snuck liquor anytime you wanted, and we wouldn't have even noticed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like the danger was there,
Yeah, for sure.
and
It's just, I definitely took it upon myself to make sure that I didn't put myself in any certain situations that, I mean, obviously, like,
but there was like, yeah, you were wise beyond your years in that, or the fear of your mother was like right behind you, like she was always watching. I don't know. You remember when you were when they put you on that album cover for Shane's band?
oh yeah, and I had the mug.
It was like a picture of Luke. He's like 3 or 4 years old, sitting at a bar with a beer in front of him, a pint in front of him, and he's like had this expression on his face like he just got busted, which he wasn't drinking, and it was just the picture, and they used that picture for their album cover, and the album was called Champions of Bad Decisions. And you got the Lebowski Fest. You got to perform at the Lebowski Fest.
Yeah.
Get up on stage, you had a mohawk, you danced, you won, you got paid to do it. You spent all your money pillow fighting the Derby City Roller Girls.
And then like the whole like sea monster stuff and snow monster stuff, and
Yeah, we had a band called the Sea Monsters, and a guy I worked with, him and his kids had a band called Snow Monster, and we like both made music and did our own version of like the rapper beef between these two bands, but then he would still like pretend to play the drums when they would do shows, because he was actually this Dustin Benzing, shout out, he was trying to actually get shows. You went and did a radio spot in Lexington.
I remember that.
So you were doing lots of fun things that most kids weren't being able to do, and not all of them bad. You know,
Yeah.
you weren't not everything was bad.
Yeah, not
I
at
think
all.
that
I feel like maybe you beat yourself up.
I beat
thinking-
myself up
yeah.
because I wanted to be a better dad than I was. And I think for a long time, it was the drinking and partying wasn't really affecting my life. Like I didn't have stability, and, you know, I was moved around a lot and I had different jobs, but it took a while before the like addiction to the opiates and heroin and all that stuff took hold, and everything, the party was over. There was like, it was just slowly declining, and I'm just grateful that like by that point, you know, you had already been smart enough to not be involved, that can just see it getting worse. You know what I mean?
And when it got to like that point, like obviously I feel like I didn't notice. And
Well, I didn't like do drugs in front of you.
No, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes I don't beat myself up about it, but I kind of wonder like, I don't know, like I can't believe I didn't notice that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was hiding it from anybody that I didn't want to know. You know, my parents, my sisters, my even some friends. You know, you always hide how bad it is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad where it will go. And I would hate for you to carry around that grief with you. Like, what could you have done better? Because it wasn't your responsibility to take care of me. It wasn't anything that you did that caused me to behave the way I behaved. It was just me being sick and that disease and just spiraling and not living right, you know?
I remember there was a time I think I was senior year. Yeah, senior year of high school. And we like texted like a week before or like a few days. And then I tried texting you a few times. You didn't answer. And then your dad called me one day and told me that, like, I think you got arrested or something. Yeah. And then, well, because actually he texted me, said, I have something to tell you about your father. And I was like, oh, like it stressed me out. Like I didn't know what it was. It's like, oh, did he die? Is he not? You know, I don't know what I was thinking. I just had all these bad thoughts running through my head. But then he called me and he said, you were just like in jail or whatever. And I'm just relieved you didn't like die or not. I don't know. It's just stuff like.
Yeah, that was my last DUI before like COVID and everything.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, right before.
Or yeah, it was a little bit before, because then I lost my job at GE because I was in jail for so long for that.
Yeah.
And then because that was my 5th DUI, and then I got out and I had to wear a bracelet that monitored whether or not I was drinking. And so I couldn't drink. So I just did more drugs, to substitute for that. And I got 2 new jobs, and I had to wear this bracelet until I pled guilty, and then they took it off, and then I just went right back to drinking again.
Yeah.
You know? And I was supposed to not be drinking and going to alcohol classes and AA meetings, and I started to do that, but I was like leaving the AA meetings and going straight to the liquor store. They weren't piss testing me at the classes I was going to, and then COVID hit, and they shut all that down.
Yeah.
So, which I've said on the podcast where I told the story, I believe COVID saved my life, because it took away the excuse that I had to keep feeling good so that I could go to work, so that I could support the roof over my head and my habit. It was just this like, but I was sick of that hamster wheel. Like I was sick of like, I have to work to pay for my drugs so that I feel good, that I have to feel good to work to
Sick
pay.
of the loop.
Like it was just, it's the vicious cycle.
Yeah.
It's commonly referred to in recovery. And I had been on it and sick of it for a long time.
I bet.
It's exhausting.
Was there any moments where you were like wanted to like attempted to stop doing anything, or do you think you were literally just like so like addicted that you didn't even like, okay, maybe I should stop drinking?
I'd known I'd been an alcoholic since a very young age, because since it started causing me problems, and a lot of my legal problems stemmed from my drinking. But it had become such a safety net for me, like a cloak I wore to guard me against all the things that I feared and all the things that I worried about. And I just I used to use that as my comfort blanket. Like I had to have, as long as I had that, I didn't have to deal with everything else. I was a terrible procrastinator, and then the drugs was just like a symptom of that, like just trying to change my mood. And then like I did any drug you put in front of me, but it was the opiates that I really fell in love with because I just wanted to be numb.
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel anything. And I dealt with a lot of back pain from my knee, never fully rehabbing my knee after my ACL replacement. And I used that as a great excuse to continue to, to do pills for so many years. And it just progressively got worse and worse over the years. So we'll be right back.
Did you know that recovery from substance use disorder and mental health go hand in hand? That is why the caring and compassionate mental health professionals at Four Rivers Behavioral Health in Paducah are here to help you find your balance. They are proud of you for making the changes necessary to live a healthier life and would love to see you reach your full potential. Give them a call at 270-442-7121 or stop by the downtown location at 425 Broadway in Paducah, Kentucky.
One thing I have always wondered is who put the alphabet in alphabetical order. At Turning Point, our goal is to help you put your life back in order. If you struggle or have struggled with substance use disorder and are in need of help, come see us at 415 Broadway Street, Paducah, Kentucky, or call 270-444-3621 and sign up for peer support services with one of our friendly staff who have lived experience with addiction. Hope to see you soon. I mean, there was a lot of things I regretted, and there was a lot about myself I didn't like, and I just kept pouring more alcohol and drugs on that, thinking that eventually, but then there was those last several years, many years, I was sick of it and didn't know how to find a way out. Like when you were young and I was working on the boat,
Yeah.
I would go out on the boat for a month at a time, and I would be sober, completely sober on the boat. I would exercise, and I'd come home, and I was still married to your mother. I'd come home, but then when I was home, I didn't have to work, and I had money, and I just partied the whole time I was there. So that was a real strain on me and your mother's young marriage, was that I was gone every other month, and then when I was home, I was a mess.
Yeah.
And she was bartending at the time, and the whole time I was gone, she's got other people in her life, and I'm not. So, it was just, that was the last time I had any lengths of sobriety. It was like every other month I was sober for a month. But once I lost that job due to drinking, then, it was off to the races. There was no breaks. It was just always drinking and doing drugs, and there wasn't a time from then till when I got sober that I ever even attempted to not drink or do drugs again, other than when I was forced to because I was locked up or something,
Yeah.
It was just what I did, and that's why it's a trap, it becomes all you know, and you don't know a way out. And I never was offered rehab, and I never wanted it.
Yeah.
And I looked at all that as all those trips to jail and all the things were just speed bumps for me to get back to doing what I was always doing. But it's like I went through all that, and I wanted to. I resented myself for a lot of it when I got sober, and I had to work through that, through working the steps and through trying to build back a relationship with God. And I realized all the things that I had been holding on to, the resentments and the fears and the things that had controlled me for so long. And I had to let go of those things, turn it over to God, and try to figure out who I was, learn to love myself, learn to forgive myself, and try to work on being the better version of myself every day. And what's the biggest change that you would say you see in me from how you always knew me to now?
Definitely the religious aspect. like you're definitely more like strict on your religion. Like, God did this for me. God helped me here. God saved me, which is great. I think that's amazing that you kind of took that into your life and let it help you. And that is a big change I've definitely witnessed. Because I know you grew up with that, but obviously while I was growing up, that wasn't your motto.
Yeah, to say the least.
But I mean, as of who you are, like, you mean like personality wise and who you are as a person, I mean, you're still like you're the same guy I've always, loved, same, you're,
You could say it. You could say it.
yeah,
Goofy.
just a goofy guilt trip. Nah, I'm messing with you.
Sarcastic.
Like, but I'm like none of any like super negative things carried over. And not to say you were like a negative person anyways, but like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm healthier.
You're definitely healthier. You're healthier. You're obviously way happier.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you're
Good.
yeah. I feel like you're happier.
Oh, I am. I'm happier.
You're in a stable marriage relationship.
Yeah, that was something that wasn't happening.
No.
Back then. There's a lot of changes, and I'm glad to know that, because I'm at the core of me, I'm still me. Like, a lot of the things that were instilled in me as a child are still there. I try to live by spiritual principles today. I've always, like, being raised in church, like, all those things were those seeds were planted in me, and it was like part of who I was. Like, I wanted to be a good person. I didn't want to hurt people. I didn't want to harm people, and I did because of my addiction. I did more than I would have ever wanted to or ever done if it wasn't using and drinking and acting the
But
way I
deep
had.
down,
But deep down, like, I really didn't. Well, this is gonna sound, how I already said, I'm only hurting myself, which obviously I was hurting you and my family and everything around. But I wasn't like stealing from my family or violent towards my family or verbally abusive towards my family or my friends or those really close to me.
yeah.
If I didn't know you, all bets were off. But so, like, I had a code, and so I think a lot of people who've known me through the whole thing are like, you're still the same person, But people who didn't know me like that,
Yeah.
they knew me as somebody else,
Yeah.
And I'm definitely happier today, and I like to say that I don't even consider it happiness. I feel like happiness is fleeting. It's a feeling in a moment. Today I have joy in my life and peace in my life, and I'm truly grateful for my relationship with you and for who you are, the man you're still trying to become. I know I could have been a better father, and I try to set a better example today. Yes, I do encourage you towards growing in your spirituality and your relationship with God, because I know how much it's done for me. But also, like we were talking about earlier today, same as with the a recovery program of AA or NA, it's attraction rather than promotion, right? We can't beat anybody over the head with anything and expect them to change. So I try to lead by example, and I haven't always set the best example, but I'm trying to set a better example today. And I'm just grateful that you were willing to do this and sit down and share your heart. And, it kind of makes me feel better that there wasn't more damage done than that could have been done,
Yeah.
I guess
I feel like definitely like a lot of the time maybe you beat yourself up and think that I have this like deep like kind of resentment towards you or something, and I don't. Like
Yeah.
I don't have this like I don't have any sort of hatred for you or anything. Nothing like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Like there's moments where obviously like I was saying like I wish you could have this, I wish you could have that, but anybody could have done something else, But
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said. Like lots of times, everyone wants something different than what they had, especially as a kid. I mean, I know like I was like that, but not just with my dad, but I wanted to be Johnny Depp, I wanted to be better looking, have more money, get the cute girl, and I'm just so grateful for where I'm at today and what I know to be true and what I know to be important is not based on like trying to be somebody else, but really being able to love and appreciate yourself for who you are and being the person that you enjoy being.
Yeah.
Because everybody is special and everybody's unique and everybody has their things. And if you're trying to be other people, you miss out so much on being the person you could be and who you really enjoy being, when you're trying to people please and be somebody you're not. And you waste a lot of your life trying to be somebody you're not when you can just be who you are.
Be yourself.
Be the best version of yourself you can be. Enjoy your life for what it is, and do your best to make it better. And I also know how important it is to not be selfish and to try to help other people. I think that's like a lot of what brings happiness and joy and peace into your life is being able to get outside yourself, realize you're not the center of the universe,
Yeah.
And I say that because like as not ideal your upbringing was, there's a lot of kids who have it a lot worse. Whether they get taken away from their parents because they get busted with drug charges, or they are the abusive, father or alcoholic, or there's all kinds of terrible things that happen to children in families that are using. And I, work in recovery, I get to see and hear about it all the time. And I really believe that, my parents and like God was watching over our family on some level to not let it get to that.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for the fact that it didn't. And I just know that not everyone has it like that. And so that's why I feel it's so important to try to get this message out there and to continue to do what I do and try to help people who are dealing with things like that and who are struggling. And not all these parents whose kids are suffering because of their addiction are bad people either.
Yeah.
Like they're caught up they're in that vicious cycle. And,
Yeah, we definitely, like you're saying, it definitely could have went a lot worse. Like
it could always be worse.
it could always went worse, but I'm just glad it didn't for either of us. Like we could have both been in two totally different positions right now in our lives if it happened any other way. Like,
yeah,
I could have grew up and I could have just gotten into the same cycle you did, or something different or worse, and you never know. But I'm glad it didn't get to that. I'm very glad that you being how you've changed today, it definitely puts a big impact on that too. It's like, and I'm sure there's people who think and hear your stories, they're like, oh, if he can do all that and go through all that and then come out the other side how you are now, it gives some sort of like inspiration or
hope.
Yeah, like hope maybe one day I can.
I mean, that's what I try to do. And I mean, that's what this podcast is about. That's what my job is about. That's what I believe I'm, called to do, is try to, like, one of the things I learned early on in my recovery that was like, I believe is really just a game changer for me, was realizing that all the things that I've been through and all those terrible experiences and all the stuff that I've done doesn't have to be for nothing if I can use it to try and help somebody else. And that's the beauty of peer support. It's the beauty of lived experience, using those things I've been through to be able to relate to somebody else who's dealing with them now, and to be able to show them that change is possible. People do care, and there is a way out. And so I love you, son. I really appreciate you being willing to do this. First podcast ever. I wish all our podcasts could be just chilled back on a couch somewhere like this, you know, nice and comfy, with my pink pillow. But yeah, I love you. Is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners about how great I am before we're done?
He's an awesome dad.
Wink, wink.
And I love you. I love you too, of course.
Oh,
Yeah. And I'm definitely glad that we have the relationship that we do, despite everything. I mean, like, we're still close. We're just still a good little duo, you know?
yeah.
And we look just alike. I still hear that almost every day.
I know. I'm sorry, son. Another thing that I resent myself for. All right. Check us out on YouTube or listen to our audio versions on Apple, Google, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music. And as always, stay grateful.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or in recovery and needs guidance, speak with Turning Point's team of peer support specialists by calling 270-444-3621. You are not alone, and we are proof that recovery is possible.